We were talking about getting socially conscious hip-hop, political hip-hop to be in more of the pop arena. And one of the things that Aronic said was talking about, it's about the beat. And, like he said, Public Enemy, for example, the song I just played, Now One is a Joke, was actually played in the club. And I thought that was a really interesting comment because I didn't know that. Like, maybe it's because I'm just too young and I just recently started clubbing. But, I didn't know that people played politically conscious music in the club at all. So I just thought that was an interesting comment.
I mean, for me, it's all about, number one, it's about the timing of the record. That record came out at a time where people needed to hear that kind of stuff. People wanted to say those kinds of things, and they were looking for an excuse to force feed it to other people. And that record gave them the opportunity to do that whenever they wanted to. But right now, that's not what the listeners of popular music want to hear. And if a person does it, they can't force feed it. They got to be very, very subtle with it, very, very tactful, because now you're not going to just be blatant about it as far as making socially conscious music and trying to make it popular. Right now, if you try it, it'll feel like you're forcing it on people, and it won't catch.
My only disagreement with that, though, one, how do we really know what the pop listeners want to hear? Because I think the music that they're playing now is force-fed. I mean, I'll play the same 40 songs over and over again. It's going to, something's going to catch, and most of those do catch. Number two, a lot of politically and socially conscious music that's not hip-hop or from other countries, that's not all that stuff gets big. Look at U2. Huge. You know what I mean? And a lot of, and not just by older people. Younger people go to those concerts. Younger people buy up those CDs. So, I mean, I don't necessarily agree that the pop audience doesn't want to hear that, because I think that they do. For some reason, though, it seems like in some other genres and sometimes some artists from other countries, they're able to make that music and make it a hit. So why is that?
It's really a symptom of our hip-hop demographic. I mean, Coldplay, System of a Down, has never made a single negative record, and that you guys have won more Grammys than I have underwear. You know what I mean? Like, they have Grammys upon Grammys making positive music. And while I agree with him that the approach has to be subtle, I don't think that it really has to do with the timing. I think if you make it subtle and if you don't come across too strong and too radical, you could do it in a pop relevant record. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at these lyrics right now on my computer. It says, I say, fuck the police, that's how I treat them. We buy our way out of jail because we can't buy freedom. Buy our clothes when we don't really need them. Right there is politically, stated as any other Dead Prez record that I heard. And that's a Kanye record that was top 10 on Billboard and top 10 in the clubs. You know what I mean? And that was a record that came out within the last 2-3 years.
I kind of want to get back to what we were speaking of conspiracy theories. I have my own conspiracy theory. Do you feel that the mainstream is purposely saturating the market to keep our minds off the real issues? Because if young people are focused on, the flashy cars and freaking every girl in the world, like Lil Wayne says, are they not going to notice the major cuts taking place in education? The fact they might not get a job, the fact their moms might lose their job. The fact that we're not hearing it, is it just misdirection? Is it something that's being done to keep our minds off of the important things?
There's definitely reason to believe that the masses want to dumb us down, on every level. We're not just talking about hip-hop, we're talking about on every level. But I think it's a shame because the media and just radio stations, just hip-hop radio stations alone, they saturate with the same records. You know what I mean? Like, if that same Lil Wayne record got 60 plays, whether we thought it was a whack record, we're going to be singing that record first. You know what I mean? If they gave that same kind of heavy rotations to a positive record, we'd be singing positive messages to work. You know what I mean? Like, it's that simple. As much as we hate a record, whether we like it or not, the fact that we hear it, you can hear the same 5 records over and over again during the course of, a day listening to a mainstream hip-hop radio station. You know what I mean? And just think what kind of effect that would have if 4 out of those 5 songs that are talking about drugs are talking about positive things. It would have, that automatically would have a 180-degree turnaround. So it's a shame that we don't have that going on because it would have a positive effect. And if I think it would have a positive effect, then what's going on right now is going to have a negative effect. So, yeah, I agree.
I have more music that has to get played. And this one is going to kind of switch the tempo a little bit, and it's going to switch up the topic because I want to address this as well. This one is called Brown Skin Lady. by Black Star, Tyler Pully, and Vida.
Yeah.
Classic. You like what? I like girls with that light complexion look. You're a moron. I can't help it.
I know women on the continent got it. Nigeria and Ghana.
All right, that was Brown Skin Lady by Black Star, one of my favorite tracks by them. And the reason why I played that as far as this show is because, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a political track, but it is a very socially conscious track in the sense that it's just praising brown skin. And I thought that was a really interesting socially conscious track in the sense that that's something we don't really talk about. How come we don't talk about that in the sense that, you know, that whole light skin, dark skin thing is still going on. And it's not just among black people. I hear Latinos say that. And I was saying earlier in the show, I heard a girl told me the other day when I told her my boyfriend was black and not mixed. And mind you, this girl is black. She said to me, ugh, she doesn't date black guys unless they're light-skinned and cute. I mean, this is something that's actually going on. This is a mindset we actually have going on among our youth. And this isn't even being talked about. We're ignoring it as though it's not a problem. What do you ask about that? Let's start with you, Aronic.
You know what? This is the perfect example of how we educate our people. We put it in a song. You know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of education that you're not going to get in a school. But if we change the trend through music and we put in a song, you know, how to embrace people of all different colors, exactly like this song did. His skin's an inspiration for cocoa butter. That's a classic line that Kweli dropped in there. You know, and that's something that we get through music. That's something that we've gotten away from that, you know, was very vital to music back in the 90s and in the 80s, is that education of how to accept people in different cultures, you know, was messages that we got through lyrics.